let's revisit an old project. So you may be wondering, why would I change out my server that I had created before? Well, it comes down to a couple of factors. The old one is now really showing its age, in that it's about 10 years old for the CPU, and I wanted something a little more efficient and lower power, but not give up some of the 10 gigabit Ethernet and SATA ports and everything. So while perusing Amazon, as I unfortunately do too often, I came across this motherboard that seemed to be the perfect fit. It's from an off-brand, so we'll see what the support is like, but it could be a very compelling home server platform for the average person. Let's take a look. First thing you'll notice is that it has a very generic kind of packaging. NAS, Network Attached Storage Mainboard. Well, let's see what we got. Inside, we've got nice crinkly plastic. We have an I/O shield, very important for airflow considerations. Let's take a look at what we've got here. Now on this board, we have a N100 CPU, which is a low-power Intel chip that also comes with integrated graphics, which may come in handy later. We have two M.2 slots for NVMe drives, though their speed is reduced because this chip does not have as much PCI Express connectivity as others. We have a single DDR5 SODIMM slot. I'm not really sure what the capacity limit is on this. If you look at Intel's spec, it says 16 gigs of RAM, but some others have been able to get 32 gigs of RAM working on similar platforms. So I went for broke and got myself a DDR5 32 gig stick, and we'll see what happens. Some other features on this board, you'll see the 6 SATA ports. One of them is driven by the chipset, and the other 5 are from a J-Micron SATA controller. So what we'll want to do is, because we have space for 5 hard drives, I'm going to connect them to the SATA controller instead of the chipset one, and we'll see what kind of performance we get out of those drives. We've also got other fan headers here for the system. We've got USB headers, but the star of the show is definitely on this side of the board, where we have a 10 gigabit Ethernet port, in addition to 2.5 gigabit Ethernet ports. Now this is going to be really important for maximizing the amount of data that we can push over the network. I'm excited to see how well this works. Turning this around again, we'll see it has standard power connectors, and it even has what looks like a micro SD card slot. We'll have to see what we can do with that. Alrighty, let's get this installed. Need to cut this open. Gotta love this packaging for this stuff, right? So let's get our RAM situated. We'll save the PCI Express drive that I already have from the other system. So let's get this out of the way. Set this aside and get inside. So we'll just take our M.2 drive out. Start disconnecting the cables. Those out of the way. Let's remove the motherboard. Oops. So let's take a moment to talk about why I'm replacing this board. One of the biggest issues that I have with this particular board is this cooler right here. Now, I've tried several different fans and other combinations for this, and I've not found one that is sufficiently quiet. This fan gets kind of rattly, and it's just not good for long-term use or if it's sitting next to you. It can be very distracting. So while this is a quad-core 8-thread CPU, and I'm replacing it with just a quad-core, quad-thread CPU, I think we're going to get better performance just because the processor is about 8 years newer. So we'll have to see what happens. So let's move that out of the way. Don't worry, I'll save that motherboard for another project. Stay tuned. So let's get our I/O shield installed. Okay, there we go. We are in. All right. Now we'll try to get the board in. So let's recenter that. Get this out of the way. Okay, let's see. We have USB here. We've got LEDs. So I will probably just plug in Let's get these cables in first. We have our USB header, which will go here. Let's see, we have power LED plus and minus. Power, we want power switch there. Let's see, we have minus, plus, and hard drive LED. Good. We need power. Looks like I messed that one up. Maybe we have to remove this and try that again. Maybe we can do that. Let's try that. Looks like I'm going to need a power extension. I'll have to go order one. Before I get too excited about buying an extension cable for this, let's make sure it works first and see if there's anything else that I need to buy as well. Okay, now that we have this all wired up, let's see what happens. Power on. Ooh. Let's see what we get here. Now I know that DDR5 takes a minute to do its training, so we'll see if we get anything on the screen here. We got a B. Hey! Alright. Alright, let's see what we got here. Okay, we've got what I would expect here. I have all my memories showing up. This all looks good. This might just work. Today is next week, but I do have the pieces that we need to finish this project up. Let's get started. So what we have here is we have our ATX extension cable that we're going to need to plug in the power. I also picked up this. This will split my USB 2.0 ports so that I can use both the front panel USB headers on this case. Let's get going. So we'll just pop this in here. Bring this back into view. We'll add our extension. It's quite fiddly, this little thing. There we go. We'll get our motherboard in. We have one of our front panel headers. And the other one. That might not work. This case is a little too short. Well, maybe we won't use the USB-C. At least not with the adapter that I have. So we'll tuck that away and we'll use that some other time. There's our obnoxiously long extension. I'll just try to tuck some of these wires out of the way. And I need EPS. Well, we have to take that apart again so that we can get the EPS 12-volt power connector out. The motherboard I had previously wasn't using it, so I had tucked it out of the way. Let's fix that. Let's carefully bend that back over. this up a little bit. Tuck that out of the way. We'll get this plugged in. That stays out of the way. We'll get the main 24-pin power plugged in. Let's see if we can tuck some of these wires out of the way. Tuck that into that cubby. Maybe I can get this in there too. Let's tuck that in. That gets tucked out of the way. Let's try and tidy this up a little. We'll save this guy for later. Dare I put the top cover on before trying this? I'm feeling lucky today. Let's try it. All right, that should be good enough for a test. Lights on, we got a post beep. What do we got? Oh, we got a post. And I have an OS on this machine already, so I'm going to have to wipe that. All right, that'll do it for the hardware setup. Tune in next time for part 2, where we start deploying software on here. I haven't quite decided what OS I want to use yet, but we might try a few and see how it goes. Catch you next time.